back to another interview with the experts on the Rosset Bespoke Butlers channel. Tonight we've got a very special guest. If you're into travel and things like that, I think you're especially going to enjoy this one. So this is Lucy Carragher, with a background of over 15 years in hospitality and travel, specialising in 5-star luxury hotels, private jets. Lucy works with a wide range of clients, including many high net worth and ultra high net worth clients from music, film, sports, and all those kind of industries. From worldwide music tours to you know, these household names, personal holidays, ultra discrete. I mean, it's very exciting stuff. I mean, she's looked after all these different people and her market knowledge. She creates these relationships. She knows about all the best hotels. She knows about the best jet operators. So she can find the perfect solution for any client. So without further ado, Lucy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, some intro.
It is. I mean, I needed a route map halfway. No, I mean, that's why it's so good to have these interviews with an expert, because, you know, that says it all, doesn't it? You are an expert.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time now, for at least the last 15 years. I've been extremely lucky. I've had a career in London and European hotels where I've managed a lot of the entertainment clients, so a lot of music tours, film companies, press junkets, high net worths, a lot of high profile guests, working in some of London's, you know, most loved and best hotels, Claridge's, Connaught & Berkeley, loads of others as well. And that has really afforded me the chance to get to know a lot of these clients really, really well, and to be able to help them pick and choose and put together bespoke packages for holidays, for corporate travel. And in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've diversified a little from hotels and moved on to the private jet side of things, culminating in working with ISON Travel, where I'm looking after a whole 360 travel plan for these amazing clients. And I've got to know them over the last 15 years. So when you know somebody really well and you can actually help them and have them have a fantastic holiday, or get them from A to B when they need to, especially in times like these. I know we'll probably touch on that a little bit later on, these sort of special times in travel. But it's been an amazing experience, and long may it continue. As I said, it's a difficult, strange time at the minute, but a lot of these clients are still traveling, are still able to travel, and I'm, you know, here as a bit of a fountain of knowledge. I often say to clients, you know, just ask me questions. You don't have to book anything, and that's sort of what I say moving forward to anybody new, that use the knowledge I have. It's a shame when it can't be tapped into. So yeah.
I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, so I mean, because you're obviously, you're a specialist. You look at these high profile things. You do these corporate travel. So I was looking at your website and I see you organize a lot of corporate travel as well. So maybe you can explain to us how these sort of arrangements that you're making, how that differs from the kind of arrangements one would make for, you know, a simple family holiday.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm incredibly lucky with ISON Travel. It's a family-owned business by Matt and Helen Goff, and I've come on board recently to look at some of the leisure clients that I've worked with in the past. But in terms of a corporate scale, when you're looking at a bespoke travel agency, you need to be looking at somebody who's got amazing supplier relationships, because that's what you're tapping into. Yes, it's amazing that you can have somebody to do the legwork for you, so you don't have to trawl the internet and look on all the comparison websites. I mean, the internet has made booking travel a lot easier, and it's a lot more transparent in terms of what's available. But when you're looking at corporate travel and you're looking at one hotel versus another, on paper, they might look exactly the same, be the same price. But when you've got somebody who has got a relationship with a particular hotel, you know, they can look at things like the upgrades, the special amenities, special pricing, because they've got access to really great corporate rates with them. And these are things that you can't always get on your own. And these are the things that take the hassle out of booking with agencies. With ISON, we're really lucky. It's a small company, and that means that you get a real personal service. So the person who looks after you is looking after you 24/7. So they get to know you inside out. You don't phone up and at 5:31 you get put through to somebody else who doesn't really know you that well, who doesn't know you about your booking, and you have to explain everything 1,000 times, and it all gets rather tiresome. So because it's a small company, you can offer that real one-to-one service. And I think that's what I always pride myself on, and I know the rest of my colleagues do, is that we actually really get to know you and what you're looking for. So you don't have to constantly say, well, actually, I'm looking for these things in a hotel. I'm looking for these things with an airline operator. It's a kind of given. We've got a checklist of what to look for and what to avoid in terms of hotels. And I think, you know, there are a lot of fantastic companies out there who do similar things. But where I kind of fit is the high net worth and the ultra high net worth and the entertainment side of clients. And I think they can be, you know, demanding because they've got exacting standards, and that's great. And everybody should have that. Nobody should be settling for anything that's not totally right for them. But it's about going through this process of actually getting to know your client. Anyone really is able to book a hotel for someone or a flight for somebody, but whether it's the right thing for them, you know, that's where the bespoke side of the corporate travel comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, so would you say that was the main advantage of, you know, a small boutique company with agents like yourself?
I really think it is. I think there are some very big companies out there, and again, I'm, you know, sure they're great at what they do, but you can become a bit of a number. And sometimes if you're only booking small amounts of travel, then unfortunately you sort of go down the order of client list, perhaps in a really big, more corporate organization of a travel management company. Whereas when you're looking at a smaller agency, it's like booking for friends and family, because you're able to spend time getting to know people. If you're looking after 50 clients, then it's too difficult to get to know people properly. And then all of a sudden you're just going through the motions. You know, you're basically an internet service of where someone says, I would like this hotel, I want this city, these are my dates, and you just send back whatever's come up on the Expedia search, job's done. But, you know, the reality is you want someone who knows you and who can put together a package. That's why you're using their expertise, because you can go online yourself and book flights and hotels easily. But it's having someone be able to get you the special deals or the special upgrades and the amenities and the welcome cards and the things that impress clients if you're booking for them, or things that impress family members. With a smaller agency, you're tapping into their knowledge that they have handpicked for you, rather than a bigger company that might favour one particular hotel group because they put a lot of business their way, which actually might be completely wrong for you.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, you know, you're the one with the knowledge, and like you say, anyone can go and look at photos of a hotel or resort, whatever, online. But at the end of the day, those photos, someone's paid someone to take those photos, and they're going to make them look good. And they're the ones writing the write-up, and they're going to make it sound good. So you need someone like you to say whether it genuinely is.
Yeah. And it's also looking at where, you know, other people have stayed and the experiences they've had. And it's about really looking into which partners you use, so which hotels you use in different cities. So it's great to have a range of options, different star ratings, larger versus more boutique properties. But I think it's also about using knowledge of where people have stayed in the past and what the service has been like, because that's often what sets a hotel apart from another. You know, there are a lot of fantastically designed hotels out there, beautiful suites, they all have a lot to offer. But sometimes it comes down to the small little details, and it's knowing which hotels have got the right people in to fulfill those little details. And because of my hotel background, I know what a hotel is capable of, and what some of, you know, the great hotels out there, their service can make the difference between a good stay, happy with it, it was fine, to amazing, I will never forget this. And it's about matching up the two. So matching up the person with the hotel, a little personality match.
And well, I mean, that sounds absolutely brilliant. I mean, all this personal service, you taking this sort of personal care. Now, it sounds very expensive. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a butler. I've got nothing against expensive. When it's a good product and it's well done, I don't mind suggesting people spend more. But how does this compare price-wise to using one of the sort of big corporate equivalents?
Price-wise, it doesn't really vary in terms of rates. I mean, it can fluctuate a little bit, but what I always say to clients is, what is your time worth? So if you had to write all of this out, if you had to go on the internet yourself, if you had to devise a plan and book your cars and your transfers and maybe go to one person and ask them to do a hotel, one person to maybe book a private jet, or just to go onto an airline's website and book some tickets, and then you get to the other end and you need to find a car company there as well. I mean, how much of your time is going to be spent on researching the right companies, legitimate companies, putting that all together, when actually you can just send one message and somebody else will do all of the legwork? You can be getting on with the rest of your work, your days, your life. And the other side of things that I think is really important is like the little touches. So when you have somebody who knows different cities and has contacts in different cities, it's also things like, you can organise a supermarket shop for when you get there. Send me a list and we can organise that. A food parcel for when you get there. So it's not that scrabble of, oh, it's a late night flight and is there a shop open when you arrive somewhere? Arranging things for children in villas and hotels, above and beyond cots, games and toys and actual, entertainment for them. It's doing all of those little bits as well. And they're the things that take the most time. So yes, sometimes it can work out maybe a little bit more expensive, but you kind of need to look at it as a whole service and what that's taken away from you needing to do. And that, for me, that's always the biggest plus point, that the people I'm booking for, they don't have time. Time is really precious to them. And if I can take away the stress of organising either a holiday or a business trip or a music tour, then they can be getting on with something else and they don't have to worry about it. They know that I'm briefed well enough that the suggestions that I put forward are things that will suit them. So they don't have to go looking at different pictures on the internet and thinking, oh, actually, I best double check that car company and check that, they've got the right cars for us. Do I need to double check the booking? Because that's all done. And it's a real start to finish process. So it's from the second you receive a phone call or an email with details, right through on a private jet level, perhaps, of, being at the airport, waiting for them when they arrive before they board the aircraft. It's checking the weather before they fly. It's doing a full flight plan for them, a flight brief. It's organising the cars at the other end and phoning that driver to let them know, right, they've taken off, their flight is on time, or it's going to arrive at this time. This is where you need to meet them. It's a kind of babysitting process. And I think that's really what people should, if they feel like they might need a travel agent, that's what they're looking at buying into, is as someone to take the stress away from things and to use their knowledge to get you the best deals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like I always say, I always have my ethos is price is immaterial. The question is value. If something's value, it's good value. The price of it is not what you should necessarily look at. And right now, I can see that this kind of help, this sort of information is more important than ever, to be honest. I mean, in the world today, there's so many complications. I mean, obviously we've got COVID-19, but we've got so many more things, environmental, political, health issues, all these different things. These all have an impact on someone's break or someone's work when they're traveling. What measures do you think that people should put in place to try and safeguard themselves and their money when they're traveling?
I think the best thing to do is, if you're planning a trip and you're doing it on your own, so you're not using a travel agency, then I think it's currently check government websites and information. The information out there isn't often clear. There are some conflicting information, especially during lockdown and when dates were of when countries were reopening. It's not always easy to find that information, but I would say just do your research on that, particularly for the foreseeable future. Regulations and rules are changing all the time, and countries will be introducing measures at the last minute, and they could throw your plans out of the water. I think right now you need to be looking at decent travel insurance to protect yourself. You probably won't be covered for things like COVID-19 now. However, that's what I would always say, is that just make sure that you've got yourself covered on that level, and that safeguards you against things like cancellations, or if you have to cancel yourself, but also while you're out there for obvious reasons. And I think do some due diligence on hotels, read reviews, ask friends, personal recommendations. Social media is an amazing thing these days. You've got real-time information. Just pop the name of the hotel into Twitter and see what the comments are. Recent comments, TripAdvisor is always out there, which is great. But I think it's just about knowing where you're going and what you're buying into. If you are using a travel agency, then that's information that they can provide to you. They can send you up-to-date forms. They can help with things like visas, should you need it, passport information. There you've got someone who's got the expertise, who's looking at what's changing daily. So at the moment, if you're looking at, COVID-19 restrictions, and that is changing daily, you've got someone who's constantly looking at that, and they know that information. Whereas you yourself, you might just be reading what's announced in the press. You might not really see updates, because often a lot of the smaller updates aren't picked up by national press, or the changes aren't, even in the last few hours, there have been some changes with Spain that may well be announced in the next day or two. But I think it's about just doing some research. And although that is time consuming, if you're doing it yourself, I think it's worth looking into. And if you're looking at going somewhere where you feel like maybe the situation's not great, I would always check Foreign Office advice. It's the first place to look, just in case there is a political issue where you're planning on going. Check the weather. I always say that. Check the weather where you're going. There are some places where it's, where you think, I'll definitely go there in September, and then you realise it's hurricane season, and that's probably not the best idea. But friend recommendations are always great, and that's almost a bit like how somebody who works in travel works, because the recommendations that you've had from other clients are like asking friends. So when I always ask for feedback when somebody comes back from a hotel or a resort or a villa, because that is invaluable. They've been there, they've seen the sites. A lot of places I've been fortunate enough to travel to myself, and that's the other benefit of working with a travel agent, is that there are, they have been to a lot of these hotels. They have seen them, with their own eyes, and not just lovely internet pictures that may or may not have been photoshopped. That you're sort of buying into that as well. But it's still a great time to travel. I know it's a lot of people are really cautious, and that's absolutely fine, and you have to do what's right for you and your family and your friends. But actually, at the moment, on a private jet scale, we've seen a real rise in bookings, because it is safer. You're traveling with just your traveling party, and not a whole plane full of people. It is cleaner, because the ability to clean a private jet is easier than a huge aircraft. There's a very interesting fact that has sort of been doing the rounds, that on a commercial aircraft there are up to 700 touch points. It's in relation to coronavirus. On a private jet there's only 20. So you can see the difference in sort of safety and what you're potentially exposing yourself to. You don't have to wait around in the airport, which is always a bonus. You usually turn up sort of half an hour before your flight. You're not queuing with lots of other people. So that side of things has really risen. Yacht travel, going out to stay on a private yacht, going to stay in a villa is very popular right now. I think any of those secluded destinations, the Maldives, where you have your own villa, which is nowhere near anybody else, and you're kind of cut off from the rest of the world. Those destinations will be really popular coming up. But as with anything, I think just be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's good advice. I love private jets. I don't know if any of you saw the interview we did with the private jet broker, and we have got another one coming up about yachts as well. I've been very lucky as a butler that I've got to travel in all these ways, and yeah, I mean, it's private. It's the clues in the name. You're not gonna. It's just you, captain, the or maybe two pilots and a stewardess. There's very few people to come into contact with, and and that's what this channel. We are a channel for people in the high net worth, ultra high net worth industry, butlers, house managers, this kind of thing. Over the years, I've spent an inordinate amount of time organizing travel, as I know like every butler, house manager, PA watching this will have done. And I'll be honest, I didn't actually really consider using a travel agent to help me with that, and I don't know why. I probably could have saved myself a lot of time, and it wouldn't even have cost my principal any more by the sound of it.
No. And it's that element. It's taking that burden away, because that then frees up your time to be doing the other things that you need to be doing, rather than spending a load of time on researching a lot of the time before even getting down to pricing and things. And that is the real benefit, that your time can be freed up to do something else. And that's why a lot of people use a travel agent, or sometimes they haven't even thought about it, and then suddenly they use somebody once and think, oh well, that saved me a lot of time. And it can save money as well, because a lot of travel agents have got great relationships with hotels, so can actually get some preferential rates that may not be published online. It's the added value, so you may book a hotel room at one price, but actually then, because they know the hotel really well, you get a complimentary upgrade. So the value of that, monetary wise, is you're saving, because you haven't actually paid for that room category. So it can save money as well.
Well, I feel silly for not having done this the whole time, to be honest with you. But I'll make sure I do in future, and hopefully this will help people who are watching. Because again, a lot of people watching this are people starting out in the industry. They're young butlers, young house managers, new to the trade, and they'll probably watch this and they'll be thinking, okay, well, we really should have a chat with Lucy, find out how we should go about doing this.
Yeah, and we work in the background, so we send everything to you. You are our client, not necessarily the principals who you're booking for, and we work in the background. So it's a case of it's like you have done the work, but you've just kind of had someone in the background doing the manpower of it. And that's how I like to work. You, as PAs, house managers, etc., know your principals better than anybody else, and to me are invaluable in using us as the bridge between what you need, what your principals need, and it being fulfilled in the end. I love working with house managers and PAs and estate managers, because you actually get to do something that's really bespoke. When you don't know a principal that well, or the information that you have on them isn't that well known, and there's only a limited amount that you can find out, you kind of can't really come into your own in those situations. It's where you can find out, okay, what exact wine do these clients like? Well, that's the wine that will be on board. What do their children like? And you kind of do all of this under the radar. So then when they board an aircraft or they arrive at a hotel, there's proper bespoke gifts that they haven't asked for, but that have been arranged. So it's fantastic for the assistant or the estate manager, because sort of behind the scenes they get absolute credit for that. They put that together. But it's just those little touches that can mean the world to somebody. It's having a fantastic tailored activity pack on a private jet that just keeps the toddler happy and busy for the 2-hour flight, and it's having something for the teenagers to do, who often kind of get forgotten because they don't want a little toy on the plane. And it's things like that that are the small details that could easily just get forgotten. But we work through a checklist of, you know, information to find out about clients and how we can work that into the things that they're doing. And I think that's what can make a holiday special, those little touches, because they're surprises.
That is, to be honest, is the sign of great service. It's, to me, great service is when people do things that they've not really been asked to do, but they just do them to make the experience better for the client, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So you know, so you've obviously achieved a lot. I mean, it sounds like you have this incredible list of contacts. This incredible. So what's your greatest achievement in the industry?
Do you know, my greatest achievement is actually just having every trip that I work on go well. I've been really fortunate. There have, you know, just wait, the next trip is going to be the clanger of the situations. But I've been really fortunate that everything has pretty much gone to plan, or if it hasn't, I've been able to sort it out in good time that nobody realizes. And you know, there have been a lot of amazing musicians and actors and very, very well-known high-profile people along the way, hundreds really. Sadly, I can't really talk about any of them by name, but
no, I wouldn't ask you to.
But it's those sorts of, you know, it's those trips. It's knowing that you've actually made someone's holiday. And it's easy to think sometimes that when you're booking for people who are high net worth or ultra high net worth, that, you know, oh, well, they'll have another holiday in a couple of months. But you just never know what's going on in someone's life and what's going on behind closed doors, and that sometimes something small makes a big difference. And I think it's just having a little part of that. I love it. I've always enjoyed being involved in sort of setting things up for people, and just to have a little part of a great experience. And I know it's what a lot of hotel colleagues feel the same about, that it's just playing that little part in making someone's day, making them smile. And you don't often get to do that in all jobs, particularly at the moment. Things are obviously a lot tougher for a lot of people right now. So if you can just do something that brightens their day, and, you know, people could be thinking, well, you're traveling on a private jet, that's pretty special. But if that is the norm for somebody, then it's what's above and beyond that. And I mean, I will be, sticking around for a long time to come yet. I've done about 15 years, but there's quite a lot left to go. There's a lot of clients that I've kind of got my eye on that I would really love to work with, given the opportunity. And we'll see how that goes. But I think it's about looking after key people right now. I think it's about really looking after clients right now, especially in this climate, because, you know, they're the ones who stick with you. And for me, loyalty is two-way. And whilst, you know, growing the business with ISON and a lot of new clients, you know, we're really going to look after the existing ones. So it's sort of business as usual, really. Definitely for the long foreseeable. That doesn't make any sense. It's obviously getting late in the day. Need a glass of wine by now. That's what I miss about not really being able to do things like fam trips at the moment, that that sort of side of thing has tailed off, and that is an amazing sort of upside of working with things like hotels and high net worth clients. But yeah, for me, it's just going to be business as usual. Let's, you know, get people back in the air. Let's get people back enjoying themselves on holiday. Hopefully things remain as they are, with lots of places opening up. I think now's the time that if you've always wanted to go somewhere that was a little bit more left field, perhaps now's the time to do it. Do something that's a bit more challenging, or somewhere that you've always wanted to go. Then as soon as you feel comfortable to be able to do that, then it's a great time to be traveling, as long as you feel comfortable. And, you know, with every agency, ISON are looking at safety measures. You know, we would never do anything that would, you know, put somebody potentially in harm's way, or we take advice from the governments about what's going on right now in particular countries, and we can advise on where's maybe somewhere to push back later on in the year, depending on how things go. But no, I'll continue to be here providing the service that has kind of always been around.
That is the best thing, to be honest. If when you ask someone what they're planning to do, when they say more of the same, that shows how passionate they are about their job. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
And
no, thank you for asking. Thank you for inviting me on here. It's been amazing to share sort of what I do day to day. To me, it seems quite not boring because I love it, but quite, it's when it's something that you do, you don't really have a second thought about it, and actually how interesting it can be. And like I say, I'm here, I'm around for any questions ever about anything, and we'll always try and help. I have an amazing network of people as well, so if I can't help, I will definitely know somebody who can. But it's not necessarily about making bookings. For me, it's about making contacts as well. You might have been in touch with somebody 5 years ago. You don't really hear from them. You exchange hellos and how are yous along the line, and suddenly 5 years down the line, you're actually in a position to be able to help them. And I think that's one thing that's sort of put me in good stead, is keeping the network alive. And it's great to be potentially part of a new one as well, with all of your fantastic viewers. So yeah, anything anyone needs, just send me a text.
I was going to say, how can they get hold of you? I mean, I'm not going to give a number on here, but
no, I mean, I'm always available 24/7. It's something that sort of started when I started out in the hotel industry. You look after clients, you look after them 24/7, and that's fine across all manner of time zones. LA was a big time zone for me, a lovely 8 hours behind. But I'm always around on email, phone, text, WhatsApp, LinkedIn Messenger. It's, the ways you can get in contact with someone these days is quite crazy. You really can track someone down. But yeah, 24/7 I work, so anytime.
Brilliant. Well, I reckon that you'll, I'm certainly putting a recommendation out there as someone who's done a lot of this in the past, with these organising of travel, and certainly now I'm wishing I'd got a bit more outside help. So that's my recommendation to all of you watching who haven't done this before. Get in touch with Lucy and see if she can help you. So.
Exactly. Even if it's just for some questions to start off with, it's fine.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It really has been an absolute pleasure. It's been just another one of these lovely little chats. That's what I love about doing these interviews. They're just nice little chats. We just get on. It's good fun. So if you have been enjoying them at home as well, please make sure that you subscribe to the video, because there's a lot more already been that you can see, and there's a lot more still to come. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us, Lucy.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, and you can have your glass of wine now. So thank you very much. Bye-bye. It's been a great pleasure.